4 hours on the dot. All right, what's up YouTube? This is Tien, bringing you a video here for a Greater Rift pushing build for the Necro. The description will have the link for that, and my other videos will have links for the speed build and beginner and intermediate videos on returning to Season 11. Anyways, let's get right into it. This is a Necromancer build for Season 11, patch 2.6, and let's start with the abilities. We're using Grim Scythe, Curse Scythe, which applies a curse. We're using Corpse Lance, Brittle Touch to do lots of crits and turn our corpses into a lot of damage. Blood Rush Potency for that extra armor. Decrepify, Dizzying Curse for more stuns. Bone Armor Dislocation for even more stuns, and the set that we're using really wants Bone Armor. And then Land of the Dead, Frozen Lands for yet another pseudo stun in the form of Frozen, and then using Corpse Skills at will during the Land of the Dead. Our passives are Overwhelming Essence for max essence, Swift Harvesting for a little bit more attack speed for our Curse Scythe. Final Service is just a nice little quality of life, giving us an extra life if we die. Spreading Malediction, which is even more damage when enemies around us are affected by curses, and we have Decrepify for that. Let's get right into the gear, and we'll start with this weapon. This weapon is the Shadow Hook, and this is one of 4 two-handed scythes. So the way I got this one was upgrading two-handed scythes in the cube using the Hope of Cain recipe. It took me about 30 tries to get this one. Your mileage may vary. You may get it on your first try, or it may take you, 100 tries to get this one. But yes, the Shadow Hook is important, and we want to be using it on our character for that huge damage range on the two-hander there. And what we're looking for is the maximum essence on here. It's not guaranteed to get it, but the maximum essence is important. That secondary there goes from 36 to 40. Ideally, I'd have 40 essence, but I only have 37. And the reason we want the essence is for that other secondary that it has, which is every point of maximum essence increases our damage by 0.5, and our bone spikes, okay, whatever, we don't care about that. But every point of maximum essence increases our damage by 0.5%, which is a lot. And so we're stacking essence with that build, with that passive that we're using that gives us 40. The secondary here that gives us 40, and then our Paragon points as well, we're going to get more essence there. We're using 2 different sets with this build. We're using the Compass Rose Traveler's Pledge. Traveler's Pledge is a great set just because, the Endless Walk set is a great set just because it gives us everything we want in the form of damage reduction while we're moving, and then extra damage when we're standing still. And when I get into the gameplay later, you guys are going to see what that's all about as far as like standing still and getting extra damage. The 6-piece set that we're using is the Inarius Perseverance set, and it's a great set, one of the best sets for pushing right now. Bone Armor increases our damage reduction. That 6-piece bonus is amazing. It gives us a little Swirling Tornado, which will proc our Marinese legendary gem, and it also just lets us do a lot of more damage with our spender, which is Corpse Lance. The belt that we're using is the Dante's Binding, which gives us damage reduction from 40 to 50%. Ideally, we'd have 50% on here and maybe armor instead of life regen. But 48 is good enough. This one, is pretty essential to the build. It's one of the only belt options for Necromancers currently. Our ring gives us more damage reduction as well because our follower uses a unity with a cannot die token, so it's another form of damage reduction. And then another form of damage reduction is the Ancient Parthenon Defenders because of our Decrepify curse that stuns and our Bone Armor that stuns, and Frozen actually counts as a stun too. We're getting a lot of enemies that are stunned around us, and if they're stunned within 25 yards, then we're getting a lot of extra damage reduction. Speaking of damage reduction, Quilla Curious also gives us damage reduction when we stay high on resource. We don't have a lot of resource spenders, only these 2, Bone Armor and Decrepify, lower our essence, but then we hit with Curse Scythe and we get that essence right back. And because we have a ton of maximum essence, it's very rare that we fall under that 90% for Aquila Curious. Trangle's Corroded Fang gives us 100% chance to apply a curse, so we're applying the Frailty Curse and the Leech Curse when we're attacking with our Curse Scythe. And then we're using Crispin Sentence, which synergizes with all those stuns and frozens that we're applying making us deal more damage to those enemies. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. And here's some just extra options here. So I could be wearing this Crispin Sentence and having the Unity in the cube. I could be wearing the Trangwol's Corroded Fang and then having this effect in the cube. I don't actually recommend that, but if I were to use this one-hander, I could use Storm Shield or maybe this as my offhand. Another bracer option, if you're finding yourself that you're getting knocked back and stunned a lot, you might consider the Krelm's buff bracers, which will make you immune to knockbacks and stuns. The reason I don't recommend the one-hand offhand combo is because our limiting factor in this build is actually the amount of corpses on the ground, and we want more damage per corpse. So that's why we use this big two-hander. It has a huge damage range as opposed to using the one-hand offhand combo. You can see here this weapon ranges, is pretty low. I know it's non-ancient, but the damage per corpse is going to be higher when we're using a two-hander, and Corpse Lance really relies on having those amount of corpses. So without further ado, let me get into some gameplay here. This is us clearing a GR90. We did this just a little bit earlier today on stream, and then I think we were kind of still experimenting with the build. This was our maybe second or third try doing a GR90. It wasn't super easy, but the build's still very powerful. So let me get into the gameplay here. You'll notice that we're very close to our enemies, and that's because we need to be hitting with bone armor. A mistake that you might make with this build is that you try and shoot your Corpse Lances far away at your enemies, and that's not what you want to do. You need to apply your bone armor to them first so they take extra damage from your Corpse Lances. So it's just important to get in the mix of things, and don't worry, you still have a lot of ways to stay alive. You have your APDs giving you that damage reduction, your Unity and your Aquila Curious, as well as making sure you're casting Decrepify, because when they're affected by Decrepify, your belt kicks in and you're getting more damage reduction there. One little thing that you might notice are these yellow beams of light that come down on the enemies. That's our Marinase gem that's really going off and dealing a lot of extra damage. We're using the Marinase gem, the Bane of the Trapped, and currently we're using the Pain Enhancer gem. I don't know if the Pain Enhancer gem is going to be optimal. I think maybe Gogok of Swiftness or maybe Bane of the Powerful might be a good option there, but for right now, we did the Pain Enhancer gem, which seems to be meta for the GR pushing build. So notice there we got in real close. We're picking up these globes, about to spawn the Rift Guardian here. And unfortunately, I think we used Land of the Dead there, so we may not have it here for the boss, and so you're going to see us try and cool it down here for the boss. But yeah, stand close to the enemy, cast your Decrepify, and if there's corpses around, go ahead and Corpse Lance stuff. If not, swing away with your Scythe, right? You need to swing away with your Scythe to apply curses. Also, it just helps you do extra damage. Your damage is no joke with that Curse Scythe. You're still doing pretty good damage. And then the Leech Curse and the Frailty Curse will really help in either killing the mob faster with Frailty. I think when they're at 15%, they'll die immediately. And then the Leech will help keep you alive as well. So if you find yourself dying with the build, maybe it's because you're not attacking a lot with the build. And so here we get chunked a little bit, and I think we're going to actually go pick up that shield pylon, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. Maybe we're just cooling down our Land of the Dead and then just going for it. So yeah, we're just swinging away with Cursed Scythe. Okay, yeah, we're going to go hit that shield pylon before Land of the Dead. We walked back out to go find him, but he teleported in there to find us. We turn on Land of the Dead. We have infinite corpses. We're just going off with our Corpse Lance. It's critting all the time because of the rune that we choose. And you can see all those mirror